Good evening and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along this evening. We are so pleased that you could make it. I know that this is all a little bit awkward. We are wearing our face masks just at the moment because we're sitting close to one another, but we'll be taking our face masks off throughout the presentation so you can hear us properly. My name's David Thompson. I'm one of the Deputy Senior Schooling and working with our Year 10.
And good evening, everyone. My name's Philippa Walker. I'm also a Senior Schooling Deputy, and David and I both work together as supporting Year 10 students, and David's on Year 11 and I'm on Year 12 this year.
So once again, thank you for coming along. We are recording this session this evening and we'll be making this presentation available on our website. So if you do have to duck out, that we understand that, you can watch the recording. Also, I'd just like to draw your attention as well to the chat room. There's a speech bubble icon that you can go to, and in that speech bubble, if you click on that, you can leave questions for us as the presentation goes on. So I'll get started, and we'll get Philippa back shortly, and I can take this mask off as well. So once again, thank you everyone for coming along this evening for this really important piece of information. I just want to give you an idea. The two sessions today are running concurrently. The first session this evening is really about our general subjects and our ATAR pathway, our partnerships with the university and opportunities that exist there. We'll have a presentation that will run and then some question and answer session. And then at 6 o'clock, we will start the second session. The first 10 minutes or so will be identical to the start of this session, as we will have some generic information about subject selection, and then the rest of the presentation from 6 will be about applied subjects, certificates, external certificates, school-based apprenticeships and traineeships. So the theme is slightly different for the 2 hours. Both sessions are being recorded so that if you just want to stay for 1 hour and watch the other one separately, or however you want to manage that information. So we welcome all of our Chancellor community this evening. So we welcome and thank you for taking your time out. I know that this is strange times and there's lots going on in family homes at the moment. We're wanting to keep an eye on the news, but we appreciate your time this evening. We've got a massive school and a massive team, and this gives you a bit of a taste for all of the staff that will be working with you, right from the very top. Leanne Jensen-Steele, our Executive Principal, Victoria Anstey, our Secondary Campus Principal. We've got 5 Deputy Principals, 2 that work in the Senior Secondary, Philippa, who you've just met, and myself, and the 3 Guidance Officers. Dom Towler is on leave at the moment, so Phil Heath is in his place, and a raft of heads of department. The year level coordinator for Year 10 is Holly Wycamp, and she is taking a very special role in shepherding our Year 10s and as they move through their senior school. Now, the senior school is all about the philosophy of developing multiple pathways for diverse learning experiences so that all students are engaged to maximise their learning. Now, I guess we're going to be talking about what those 2 pathways are today and getting in some nitty-gritty about the subjects that are on offer and how they're assessed and so forth. So you'll find out some information as we go through and explain those 2 pathways with you. How do students choose their study? Well, the students are undergoing a subject at the moment on their timetable. The code is VFK. It's a work certificate to and work and vocational skills, and in that they're completing their senior education and training plan, we call the SET plan. And in the SET plan, we get an opportunity to work through subject choice, and part of this information this evening is about information to parents. Now, the students have already received this information in their lessons, but we're wanting to make sure that parents are fully informed. Now, in the SET plan, we look at study options, employment options, and the essential documents for this are the pathway selection form, and the students will get that form on return to school. And the SET plan documentation that the students can complete online on One School. Parents, you've also been emailed lots of information last week from myself, which is prerequisite documents, the QCE Forecaster, and a range of other documents. So check your email as well, and the students have been emailed that information that will help you make these decisions. The set plan process really is a 3-mode process this term. So the mode 1 is where students who know what they want to choose can work with their teacher and make their subject choices and communicate home with you, and they're pretty certain about what they want to choose, and we get it all signed off in the class setting with the teacher facilitating that. That's mode 1, and that's open right now because subject selection is live for our grade 10s on One School. Mode 2 is where students or parents, carers might want to have an interview, and so we're going to offer face-to-face interviews. We're planning to do that in week 10 this term, COVID pending, of course, but we'll do face-to-face interviews for those parents that really want to dig a bit deeper or want to find out more information or are uncertain about particular subjects, and that's an opportunity to meet face-to-face. And mode 3 are face-to-face interviews with the parent present, which are students which have got quite complex negotiations about the process for moving forward. So we are anticipating about 40 to 50% of students will go through mode 1. There'll be a number of students and families that will want to have that face-to-face experience, and we'll facilitate that later in the term. The pathway selection document, now this will receive this when they return from the lockdown. However, this subject selection is also live on One School at the moment, so students can see the subjects that are available to them. And during this presentation, we'll be focusing on various parts of this document. So the first, beg your pardon, and that's the online subject selection, which is the same subject offering, just in a different format, and that's what the students will be able to complete right now online on the One School app. Now, I just want to back just for 1 second. You'll notice that, and this is often a question I get from parents, is what's this line business? Why do students have to choose particular subjects in lines? I guess the best way to explain it is that we make offerings of subjects in groups or lines, and that helps manage the way we can staff those subjects and room those subjects. But also what we do is we take all of the subjects that are available on, for example, line 1 next year, which is, as you see on the screen, ancient history and biology, business, film and TV, and hospitality practices and so forth. And what we do is we convert that to a timetable. So line 1, when we do a timetable structure for our grade 11s next year, line 1 we spread throughout the week. So line 1 is offered on period 3 on Monday, period 2 on Tuesday, and period 3 on Thursday, the red squares in that timetable. So what we do is we take the line offerings and we spread the lines across the timetable, and that's how we construct our timetable. So that's why subjects are offered in lines in the subject selection process. Additional piece of information to all parents is that you have been emailed, and is also available on the school website, and all the students have been emailed, the QCE Forecaster. Now this is the line offerings for the subjects for year 11 next year, and students and families can play around with this Excel document, because what it will do is we'll actually forecast if the student is successful in their choices at the end of year 12, whether the student will be QCE eligible, which is the Queensland Certificate of Education, or ATAR eligible, which is the tertiary entrance rank that Philippa and Dave will talk about shortly. And so this is a great document that you can sit and run a whole host of different scenarios based on our subjects and get a forecast of what could be available from the points perspective from QCE and ATAR eligibility. So check your emails for that. It's a fantastic program that we offer. I don't know of any other schools that offer it, but we do it because it's a really good way to get an idea of what's available at the school. If you're looking for more information about any of our subjects, about the process of subject selection, of links, explanation, how-to videos, or this video that we're making this evening, please go to our school website. If you go to the curriculum tab and then to the senior secondary, there's so much information there, videos, handbooks,
The forecaster, like I said, there's a stack of information available there for you to get more details about the subject offerings that we have at the college. Now that's the generic information about subject selection. I'm going to hand over to Philippa Walker, the other Deputy Principal for Senior, and Dave Barber, who is the Head of Department for QCEE, the ATAR pathway for our students, to go through the more in-depth details about our general subject offerings. And then I'll see you a bit later for those people that are staying on for the VET and the applied subjects presentation from 6. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, please post in the chat window, and I will see you all a little bit later.
Good evening again, and thank you, Dave. I'd also like to introduce Dave Barber, the Head of Department for QCEE, who works with me with the ATAR pathway. So, sorry, just a technical. Yeah, up here. Apologies. Okay, so this evening, I'll just get Dave to move out of the frame now so that I can take off my mask and I can talk to you. We're going to be looking at the ATAR pathway, and in particular looking at the general subjects and the ways of attaining an ATAR if you are looking at going for tertiary entry. So first up, the general subjects. So general subjects are suited to students who are looking for a pathway beyond senior schooling in the tertiary sector. Also work and vocational, and they also include your extension subjects like extension English, extension music, etc. So the underpinning skills for these syllabuses are literacy, numeracy, and the 21st century skills, which are critical thinking, creative thinking, communication, collaboration, teamwork, personal and social skills, and of course your ICT skills. The subjects at Chancellor that we offer, so the general subjects, are listed in front of you now. Now, you may have questions about other subjects, other general subjects that are not on that list. We can have a meeting about that, so your student can make an appointment with myself or Dave Barber, the Head of Department, and discuss the possible enrolment in distance education. So it might be a subject, for example, like philosophy and reason, or another language like Italian that we don't offer, that they could then engage and enroll in a distance education subject. So that's what we offer there, a wide array of subjects for the generals, and lots for students to choose from. For our general subjects here at Chancellor and most schools, you'll find that we have prerequisites. Now, if you scan down the column, you'll see each of the subjects that we offer, or in particular, the general subjects that do require a prerequisite. You will see the majority of them are a minimum of a C standard, and then it stipulates which subject that's in, so whether that's in drama or English or humanities. If a student does not attain the minimum for that subject that they wish to choose, so just say they wanted to do geography and they attained a C- or a D+ in humanities in year 10, they wouldn't automatically get that subject, geography, in year 11. However, they can at the end of this year, write to the principal and apply for an exemption. So then we can discuss with that student how we can support them to have success in geography when they have attained a C- or a D+ in humanities in year 10. So that's the prerequisites for the general subjects here at Chancellor. Up on the screen now, you'll see we've got a snippet of the paper copy of the subject selection form. Now, I put this up here so that you can see where the general subjects are placed on the form, because it can be quite daunting. So in the red box, you can see they're the general subjects that I have just had listed up. Across to your right, it then has the line that it's offered on, and Dave explained to you about the line structure. And then it has the cost. If we, Then if we go over to the right-hand boxes, you'll see that there are the vet subjects and then the certificate subjects. And then there is a box below that called additional subjects. Now, in that box, you've got things like school-based apprenticeship, Headstart, distance education, or TAFE, and other RTO options. Now, that might be where if a student is interested in a subject that we're not offering, so a general subject or an extension subject, they would tick School of Distance Education, and that's where it would put a flag up for us so that we then have that conversation with them and they do that application and enrolment package. However, when they're doing their subject selections, we do ask them to pick all 6 at Chancellor State College so that we can have a suite of offers, and then we can ensure that we have a backup plan in case they don't secure a place at one of the distance education schools. As you can imagine, it is quite competitive. So down below that then is your vet statement, which Dave and Dean will talk about a little bit later. But hopefully you can see when you do receive, when the students return to school and collect their paper copy of the subject selection form, the general subjects extension are on the left, your applied and vet are on your right, and then the additional box down the bottom for Head Start, Distance Ed, etc. Over to general subjects information, I'd like to hand back over to Dave, and he's going to explain some of the differences.
Thank you, Philippa, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. Currently on the screen, we've just got, draw yourself to the infographic there. It talks about general subjects and general extension subjects. And of course, the applied subjects, David Thompson and Dean will talk about applied subjects later. But for general subjects, they're taught over 2 years, units 1 and 2, and then units 3 and 4. The general extension subjects are another opportunity for a certain smaller group of subjects that are taught in units 3 and 4 only. So I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a moment. The grading system for the QCE system and the general subjects is important to understand. Units 1 and 2 are primarily taught in the first year, and that's usually year 11. Across the course of that year, students are given a satisfactory or unsatisfactory result for Unit 1 and for Unit 2. So they actually get, on the report, you'll see a letter grade A to E on the school report. But when we actually report into the QCEE portal, which is where all the QCE points are generated, the school makes it a final decision based on whether that student has shown on balance the content that they needed to in and the criterion at a satisfactory level or unsatisfactory. When we move into units 3 and 4, which is primarily the final year, which is usually year 12, we start to record results and numerical results, and it's a cumulative total. So each assessment piece has a number, and so for the first assessment piece in unit 3, it might be an internal assessment might be worth 15, the second might be worth 25, and it all adds up in the end to 100. And the students get their results, and they can actually see before they head into their external exam at the end where they're sitting, usually out of either 50 or 75 by that point. You will still receive, for students in Year 12 on reports, you'll still see that same letter grade A to E, A being the best, A being the highest. So it's just important to know that there's that little bit of difference. Oh, sorry, I should also mention that Unit 1 and 2 in Year 11, they are separate to each other. So you can actually maybe not pass Unit 1 and still successfully complete Unit 2, in which case you would receive 1 QCE point. If you passed 1 and 2, you would receive 2 QCE points. But when we get down to Unit 3 and 4, if the student doesn't actually pass on balance in the end, at the end of the cumulative total, you either receive 2 points for passing or no points toward your QCE if you do not meet the cutoff. Now, we don't determine the cutoff. The QCEE, the Queensland Curriculum Assessment Authority, determines the cutoff based on the year and the assessment types and all of those sorts of things. And that is published towards the end of the year. Each general subject has when we're looking at the assessment pieces, each student will have an ISMG, which stands for Instrument Specific Marking Guide. Now, those instrument specific marking guides are familiar. They're constant across the state. So if you're studying biology, when you get into units 3 and 4, you'll have an instrument specific marking guide that is consistent across the state. So students across biology are getting tested on the same criterion, the same assessment objectives, and that's balanced out. And then each of the assessment objectives, as I was talking about, your cumulative totals and the numerical marks, you can see on the example here, this is actually from, it looks like a film and television treatment criterion. And it actually shows it's almost scaffolded towards what the student needs to do. And the student could actually use that as a scaffold when they're actually writing their treatment to identify what they need to do to achieve those level of marks. Obviously 0 being the lowest score and in this one 6 being the highest. So the units 1 and 2 are formative units. This is just a summary. They're formative units usually in year 11. We provide feedback to students on their progress, and there's anywhere between 2 and 4 assessment pieces usually. So it's preparatory for units 3 and 4. Units 3 and 4, usually in year 12 over the course of a year. They're the summative units. Result is based on 3 internal assessments that is written by the school and endorsed by the Queensland Curriculum Assessment Authority, and then 1 external assessment which will be held at the end of, the beginning of term 4, at the end of the year. And those external assessments can range from 25% to 50% for the cumulative total. The subjects that have a 50% a percentage towards those exams are your mathematics and your sciences. All of the others, your arts, your business, and the other subjects are just 25%. The external assessment, which I was talking about, which happens in term 4, is common to all schools. It's sat in 17 days in term 4, and all of the exams are sat at the same time across the state within a very small window of each other to ensure that the assessment piece isn't jeopardized at all. It's developed and marked by the QCEE. It's unseen to the teaching staff. It's unseen to teachers. We are teaching towards all of those criteria. However, we do not know what will be on each exam. And it is actually marked by the Queensland Curriculum Assessment Authority. And it assesses the subject matter from your units 3 and 4, which the students have been preparing for from units 1 and 2. So units 1 and 2 are preparatory, and units 3 and 4 are supplementary. Just handing back to Philippa, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about ATAR.
Thanks, David. So the next question is, so you might be asking, what is ATAR? So ATAR is the Australian Tertiary Admission Rank. So its primary mechanism is used nationally for tertiary admissions. So it indicates a student's position relative to other students in that year, or whoever was accessing that tertiary institution at that point in time. So you can see it's a 2,000 point scale, and it ranks from 99.95 being the best right down to 0. Now, if a student gets less than 30, so just say they got 25, it will only be expressed as 30 or less on their actual ATAR. So you won't actually see, you know, if they got 10 or something. Students will be calculated, this will be calculated, sorry, by QTAC for entry into courses. It's the new standard pathway for tertiary study in Queensland. And what you have got to remember is that it is something that's used nationally. Okay, so in summary, calculated by QTAC, it's not calculated by QCEE as in the past with the OP. The OP, overall position, used to be calculated by QCEE and then distributed out to students. QTAC now calculate those ATARs. It is a measure of a student's overall position in comparison to other students. Now, to calculate that ATAR, 5 subjects, so the 5 top subjects are utilised. There is subject scaling applied to come out with that ATAR. There is no common test. So in the past, we've had the QCS test. That is no longer in place. English is a subject that is mandatory. And as I said before, it is a 2,000 point scale. So it's a lot more refined than the old OP system. Okay, so you might ask, what does it take to be ATAR eligible? So you can see in the infographic in front of you, there are 5 general subjects to be ATAR eligible. At Chancellor, we ask students to select 6 subjects so that they basically have 1 subject up their sleeve. So the 5 top subjects, top academically achieving subjects are used to calculate that ATAR. Now, on the opposite side, in the red circle, you'll see another way to obtain an ATAR, which is not your typical or your traditional pathway to an ATAR, and that is 4 general subjects and either an applied or a Cert 3 or diploma, okay? So it could be a Cert 3, Cert 4 or diploma, okay? And that's what we refer to as either your 5 general or your 4+1. So your 4+1 being your 4 general plus an applied or a Cert 3 or a diploma or both, okay? So at Chancellor, as I said, we do encourage students to undertake 6 subjects to ensure we are giving them every possible way to achieve the success that we desire for them. Okay, so as I was saying, in order to be ATAR eligible, you need 5 subjects or the 4+1. One of those subjects must be an English. So it doesn't have to be general English. It can be English, it can be EAL if it's offered at the school or if they undertake it through Distance Ed at Chancellor. English and literature extension, so English extension and literature extension, or literature or essential English. Now they must obtain a C standard in one of those Englishes, okay? No specific subjects are mandated inclusions in ATAR except for English, okay? So just so that you understand, maths is not used, it's not a compulsory subject for a student to be ATAR eligible. However, at Chancellor State College, every student must undertake an English and a maths so that they're obtaining the literacy and the numeracy tick. Okay, so up in front of you now, you'll see some examples of some patterns that enable a student to be ATAR eligible. So you can see up the top here we have English, math methods, specialist maths, physics and chemistry, and they might pick one other subject, and that might be drama, or they may not. They may just focus on those 5 general subjects. Over to your right-hand side, you can see there's English, dance, visual art, study of religion, and then a Certificate 3 in business, they are still eligible for an ATAR. However, you can see there, and as I mentioned in the previous slide, we're taking, or QTAC are taking, the 5 top subjects. So the 6th subject here at Chancellor may have been mathematics, and they may not have achieved as highly as they did in those other 5 subjects. And then down the bottom, you can see essential English, accounting, modern history, Japanese, and music. So that, or all 3 scenarios, are eligible for an ATAR. We've got 5 subjects there at Chancellor. As I said to you, we encourage students to do 6 so that they have got one up their sleeve, and also English and the maths are compulsory. Okay, I did mention when I was talking at the start about ATAR that subject scaling is applied to all subjects, all general subjects. So you can see here it's necessary so that students' results in different subjects can be compared fairly. Now, we all know that there's different rigor and different complexity in, the 30-odd general subjects that are on offer. So students can study thousands of different combinations. We need to ensure that students are neither advantaged or disadvantaged based on the subjects they choose. So at Chancellor, we really encourage students to choose what they enjoy, choose what they are good at, and that the prerequisites for their courses that they want to apply down the track. So just say they're wanting to go to USC and they're wanting to study primary education, they need to ensure that they've researched what those prerequisites are so that they're studying those in year 11 and year 12. They're getting the, the required grades, so a C standard, the lowest being a C standard, and they need to undertake those for the 4 units, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, and Unit 4. So we are here to support your student and ensure that they're understanding what the prerequisites are if they have chosen their career pathway, or if they're not sure, we're here to ensure that they've got as many doors open as possible so that they can engage in a number of different pathways. But we're here to support them. Biggest point there is that they choose what they're good at and what they're going to achieve academically high grades in. Okay, I'll hand back over to Dave now.
Thank you. To outline a few things regarding university prerequisites, as Philippa said, it's a pretty good idea if your child at home is sitting there with some ideas about what future pathways they might want to partake. You could just look that up online and see if any of the prerequisites are there, what they need. As Philippa said, to be a teacher, you need to have an English, a science, and a math. So I just want to outline for you, I think probably general, if you've got a child sitting at home, which you may do as well, that's sitting there going, I'm actually not sure what I want to do, but I am considering a tertiary pathway. A pretty good solid foundation would be to at least choose an English, math, and a science, and that way you've still got quite a few options open for you. The important to know that the English that we're talking about doesn't have to be just the general English subject. It could also be literature, English literature for extension, or English as an additional language. All of those 4 general subjects are considered a passing grade in English. Would, if you're a prerequisite uni, it would be acknowledged that you've met those requirements. Just as in if the university degree requires a science, unless it specifically states a type of science, but if it just says a passing grade in science, that could be from biology, chemistry, marine, physics, psychology. They're 5 that we actually offer here, or a couple of other ones that you could take up through distance ed or another form of education is through agricultural science and earth and environmental science as well. So just to let you know that there's multiple general subjects that come under that English banner and multiple subjects that come under the science banner. Philippa and I are going to talk about some rumours, myths and legends that you might hear to disperse those. Excuse me, I'm going to put my mask back on and hopefully...
Yeah, so we'll just, hopefully you can understand us without looking at our moving with our masks on. So the first one we're going to look at is a rumour, and that is the Queensland ATAR can include other inputs like IB subjects, music, dance qualifications, Cert 1 and 2 qualifications. Well, just so that you're understanding what we're talking about there, IB stands for International Baccalaureate Subjects. Music and dance, they're referring to external studies like AMEB and the likes. So the reality is that the ATAR can only include general subjects, applied subjects, and VET qualifications at a Cert 3 level or above. So your Cert 3, your Cert 4, or your diploma. The ATAR must include at least 4 general subjects. And as I said, it must include an English.
And the next rumour is that less challenging mathematics subjects scale better for ATAR. The reality is not. The difficulty of a subject has nothing to do with how well it scales. It all is dependent on achieving how your child achieves in their subjects, including their mathematics subjects. So as we said before, if you'd like your child to do well, we suggest that they look at the prerequisites, choose what they're good at, and choose what they'll enjoy.
Rumour. Is it possible to game the system to get the highest ATAR? Well, no, it's not, because the reality is that the ATAR is entirely data driven. So ATAR is a rank. So if a student's result places them in the top percentile, then it will get them a top ATAR. That's the reality.
You consistently see those students with 99.95 that are topping all of their subjects. We see students that top 4 out of their 5, but then the 5th one maybe is not as strong, and they don't quite get to the 99.95. They're still certainly up there, and they're doing what they love, but you always want to ensure that they're doing what they're good at and what they enjoy. Another myth and legend: can certain subjects like physics increase a student's ATAR? In reality, no. A student can only maximise their ATAR by performing well in their subject. So just because you do physics doesn't mean you're going to get a better result than someone that does marine science. Again, students have to achieve well in all of their subjects. The other one: what pattern of subjects will guarantee an ATAR of 99.95? There's no formula. Each year it varies in terms of, we see the data that comes out for students that have achieved a 99.95, and there's no consistent subject patterning. Students that have done Japanese or visual arts or drama have achieved a 99.95. So any myths out there about specific subjects, you'll often hear the top 5, the math methods, specialist maths, chemistry, physics, and English or literature. Not necessarily true. Students always have to be achieving at the very top of their subjects in order to achieve the absolute top in an ATAR.
The next one, we've got myth and legend. I will only get an ATAR if I apply to QTAC for tertiary entry. The reality is no. Every single student who is eligible for an ATAR will receive that ATAR, even if they don't apply for a tertiary institution. So if they've qualified for an ATAR, they will receive that ATAR. Now that will be released in the QTAC online. They'll have to enter into their individual site and then access their QTAC on the date that they are released. That's the only place that they can access their ATAR. Over to the other side of the page, we've got another myth and legend. I will not qualify for an ATAR, so higher education is closed off to me. The reality, some tertiary courses are accessible without formal tertiary ranking like an ATAR. There are other pathways to tertiary study, including vocational education. And David and Dean will talk a little bit in depth about that later in the session.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about some other tertiary opportunities at Chancellor State College. The first one is the early offer guarantee that's offered via USC that we've been conducting over the last at least 5 years now. And it's also being picked up during these COVID times by other universities, Griffith University and University of Queensland also had some early offer guarantees. Obviously, being so closely linked to University of Sunshine Coast, we offer our students the opportunity to apply for university actually it opened today for our current Year 12s, the 3rd of August. And the process, what happens with that process is we track the students in how they're going across their units 3 and 4. We have a good idea, probably no one knows the students as well as we do, and the university has identified that. And if students would like to apply for a certain number of courses that they have there, then students can do so, and with the school's endorsement. So we would go through, we have a pathway review committee that's made up of Philippa, the 2 deputies, the 2 heads of senior schooling, and the guidance officers. We review all applications, and if we see that they fit the prerequisites, they're tracking towards the ATAR prediction that they're looking for, then we can actually say hand on heart, yes, we believe they're going to get in. We pass that off to the University of Sunshine Coast, who still have the right to either accept that application or not. They still give it the final rubber stamp at the end. And so far, we've had 100% success in terms of the applications that we've endorsed. So we've probably put through about 400 students that before they've actually graduated from Year 12, as they're actually graduating across the stage, they already know that they've been accepted into USC. They don't actually have to wait. They do still have to sign up to QTAC. They still do have to put the USC course at the top of their preferences for that. So they're skipping over any of those subjects, but that process is certainly a very good option for any students wanting to study at USC or any of those other universities that I mentioned.
Next up is another opportunity that obviously Dave was just talking about, early offer guarantee, which is in the final stage of their educational journey here at Chancellor in Year 12. The USC UnderGrad Certificate is available to students from Year 11 and Year 12. So they can undertake subjects over at University of Sunshine Coast whilst in Year 11 and 12. So that is an application only process. Again, it goes in via myself and Dave Barber, and we then put that application in along with their semester report card.
Just picking up some additional sound from one of the microphones, if we could mute that. There we go.
On to another option in getting a different pathway is the Headstart over again at University of Sunshine Coast, and they can partake in those subjects or the Headstart program in Year 11 and Year 12, or just Year 11 or just Year 12. So we've found, again, our students have had great success with the Headstart program. A lot of students find it a really great taster to see if they like university, and also it really does give them a great taste into the career pathway that they may be looking at, enrolling in a bachelor degree or the likes. So again, that is an application only program, and it is offered through the guidance officer, Dom Towler. So a multitude of subjects that they can choose. They do go over their run at the university. The students, wear civvies. They don't wear uniform. They're not identified as Chancellor students. As far as, other students in the class are concerned, they wouldn't know that they weren't a university first-year student. And again, as I said, we've had great success and really, really high grades. The pass rate has been very, very high. Very, very few students have failed a Headstart subject here at Chancellor. And back over to Dave for distance ed.
And finally, we also spoke a little bit earlier, if there were any general subjects or applied subjects that we don't particularly offer here at Chancellor State College, there's always the opportunity that we can enrol your child in a distance education through either Brisbane School of Distance Education or Cairns School of Distance Education. And we have a space set up for those students to come in and work independently. They're delivered their course content online. They have regular check-ins with their teachers, and we've had some great success with that. So there are plenty of further opportunities if there are languages or other subjects. Philippa mentioned philosophy and reason. We have German, Italian students, all sorts of different. I think we had some sort of science and astrology, or some sort of interesting subject that we've had a student sign up to in the past. So what we're saying is if your particular child has a certain pathway and passion, then we'll do our absolute best to support them. Even if we can't provide it here personally on the ground, we've got things in place to support with distance education. Whilst they'll still continue with their other subject choices here, we'll take them offline to complete in one particular line to complete their other study via distance education.
Can I just add in there, Dave, with the distance education, keep in mind that the various pathways that we just mentioned, like you know, the undergraduate certificates and the Headstart, distance education are a general subject that will contribute to their ATAR, whereas the other subjects that they do at university will just contribute to their QCE. So the distance education is your general or your extension subjects, and they will undertake them for unit 1, 2, 3 and 4, or units 3 and 4 if it was an extension. Again, distance ed has been running for a number of years. You must keep in mind also that your student probably needs to be quite motivated and an independent learner because they are driving their education online, I guess, as we are at the moment.
So now's an opportunity for questions regarding any of those, the ATAR general and general extension subjects that we've mentioned, or if you have any questions around calculation ATAR QCE. So you can raise your hand, you can unmute your mic and verbally ask us, or you can type in the chat column.
Also, you're more than welcome to send us an email. Our emails are available on the school website. If you've got more that you want to talk about, we can give you a call to discuss those questions. We're here to guide your student to be the best that they can be, and also ensure that they're going to have some kind of success when they venture out into the big wide world. So please do ask any questions, or please do contact us and we will get back to you. Thanks so much for joining us this evening.
That's all right. I think Lisa has a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
We're just going to turn it up. Go for it.
Just wondering, is it a first in best rest subject selection?
No, it's not, Lisa. We will accommodate as much as we can all student selections.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Belinda. The question that you've typed in the box was, how does Headstart fit into the lines of subjects? So what happens is when they do the online subject selection and they do the paper subject selection when they return to school, we do ask, as I said, the student to select 6 subjects, and then we ask them to drop one subject that they least likely want to do, and they are given what's called an ILO, which is, it stands for an independent learning opportunity. And that then, it has to fit in with the university timetable. And as I said, that could run at any time throughout the day or night because it's the university times. So that student, just say the lecture's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the student would still get that ILO, that independent learning opportunity, on one of the lines at school, where they would catch up on any work that they had outstanding for their, for their 5 other general subjects. So they attend university whenever the university has that subject scheduled.
So who's that? Jill asked, when is the final subject selection due? I believe that is it's in week 10, so it's the 13th of September. So we've got till the end of term. But ideally, over the next few weeks, you'll be talking about it with your particular child. If you can get it in earlier, that'll be great.
And Kelly, we've got a question from Kelly asking, if a student applies for a USC subject, when will they find out? So it happens a semester before. So in term 4, early term 4, that student will make the application with the guidance officer, which obviously they've got to satisfy a few prerequisites with regards to the English grades, and they will find out pretty soon within that term 4 period whether they're accepted into that subject or not. So yeah, they just need to come and see us and have that discussion, and then we will talk with the GOs about completing that application.
Praska asked, will the Head Start program count for ATAR or QCE points? So just QCE points for the Head Start program. It will just, and also it just, complementary points for the QCE is what that goes towards. So if you're looking for an ATAR, then you'd want to have 5 other subjects or 4 plus 1. The other thing with Head Start that I'm not sure if we mentioned, that it actually, if you pass successfully the Head Start, two subjects in Head Start, you get an automatic entry into USC through that. So that's another, as we were talking about alternative entry points to tertiary study, Head Start is another option.
And also, I guess we've got to mention the finance component at that point in time with Head Start as well, for the fact that the first subject they do is free, and then the second subject is approximately, around $400. So if you compare that to the price of if they are enrolled at USC as a general student, the price is up around the $2,000 plus per subject. So it's a great reduction financially, but also a really awesome opportunity to try out university subjects and how successful they'll be in that pathway. Are there any other questions? Belinda? Yes, Belinda, we'll still ask the student to select the 5 or 6 subjects, because we want to ensure that we're having the conversation with them, that we're getting the best possible outcome for them. So once we've ascertained those 6 subjects, we'll then, and we get word that they're still continuing that Cert 3, and that's continuing, we will then drop that subject that they don't wish to continue or to enroll in, and we'll drop that off their timetable and replace that with an ILO, the Independent Learning Opportunity. And as I said, that ILO is used to catch up on classwork, complete assessment, or to do revision. Okay.
I think that's probably our time now. So thank you very much for listening. We're going to hand over to David Thompson and Dean Roberts. Dave Thompson, Deputy Principal, and Dean Roberts, Head of Department Senior Schooling Vet.
Thank you so much again, Chancellor Community, and we look forward to supporting your student through their set plan selection, and also through the senior schools here through the senior years here at Chancellor State College. We'll hand over to Dave and Dean now. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us for the first session this evening, which was the ATAR pathway and general subjects and university courses available here at Chancellor State College. At 6 o'clock in 6 minutes time, we're going to start the second session this evening, which is a focus on applied subjects, the certificate courses, the external certificates, and the school-based apprenticeships and traineeships. We are recording that session this evening, so if you need to duck out and watch this later, we'll be getting other people joining us shortly. We'll start the next session in 5 minutes at 6 o'clock. Hello everyone, thank you for waiting. We're about to start our second session this evening, the Future Skills Pathway, Applied Subject Certificates, External Certificates and School-Based Apprenticeships. We will start the session smack on 6, so that, because that's we've advertised to start. Thanks for those that have hung around, that are sticking around for this next session. Speak to you all.
Emma? Emma? Yeah? You should probably come and listen to this. What? It's your future pathway, future skills pathway for Chancellor.
Hello everyone and welcome to session 2 of this senior schooling transition parent information session. The first hour that if you've just joined us was about our general subjects, our pathway, our ATAR pathway into tertiary entrance and general subjects in general, as well as some university information. We have recorded that first hour this evening, and so if you would like to watch it, if you've missed it, if you've just joined us, you can watch that. That video will be posted on our school website tomorrow after it's all processed. The second session, or this the one we're about to go into now, is about our future skills pathway, which is really about our applied subjects, our certificates, the certificates that can be done from external providers, and the school-based apprenticeships and traineeships. So this next hour will be focused on what we call the future skills pathway. Just a few protocols for this evening. As you join us, we welcome you. Could you please make sure that you're muted on your microphone? If you do want to ask a question, may I suggest that there's a little speech bubble icon that you can navigate to in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and you're more than welcome to type a question. We've got Philippa Walker, the other Deputy Principal at Senior School, watching that question, so you can ask a question at any stage, and towards the end of the session you'll be able to put your hand up and ask a question verbally or type a question as we go through this information. The first little section of this presentation I am going to repeat from the first presentation that I did an hour ago, so that those people who have just joined us get the general information about subject selection, and then after about 5 minutes or so we'll start to dive into the more detailed information about our applied subjects and certificates and how we go forward there. So let's move on to the presentation. So once again, welcome for those that have just joined us, and thank you for those that have stayed with us for the second hour. 2 hours of presentation, I know at this time is not an easy thing to do, but we appreciate you're here, and those that have joined us, thank you for joining us this evening. We've got a massive team, and so this gives you an idea of the staff that are here to help. We've got our administration team, our executive principal, Leanne Jensen-Steele, and Victoria Anstey, our campus principal, and 5 deputy principals. We've got 2 deputies that are specialist staff in senior secondary. That's myself and Philippa Walker, that have been working in senior secondary for many, many years, and so we're very experienced. Our guidance officers, Tamsin Burness and Dom Towler. Dom's on leave this term, and Phil Heath is doing his role while Dom is on leave. And then a stack of heads of department in different areas that you can contact to get more detailed information about subjects and particular faculty areas. And of course, Holly Wykamp, our year level coordinator for year 10, who is shepherding our year 10s as they go through their journey through the senior school. Senior school is about multiple pathways, and so you've already heard, if you were here for the first hour, about our general subjects, university subjects that can be blended with the senior schooling. The multiple pathways also include certificate courses and TAFE courses and apprenticeships, and that gives students the multiple learning pathways that senior school is famous for. And so that's what we'll be talking about, is the future skills pathway of the multiple pathways. How do students actually get to choose subjects? Well, they'll go through what is called a Senior Education and Training Plan, SET plan, where students and parents and carers will work together with school staff and actually be informed and make informed decisions about subject choices. Basically, the essential documents that need to be completed are the pathway selection form and, of course, the SET plan, which is done online on one school where the students have been working. The SET plan process will be running 3 modes of SET plan. Some students know exactly the subjects they want to choose. They can negotiate with their teacher at school, negotiate with their parent at home, get it all signed off and make the subject selection online, and everything's great. That's our mode 1 students, and we're anticipating 40 to 50% of our students are, know what they want to do and have got all the information and they're good to go. We are offering mode 2. Beg your pardon, it's not a COVID cough, by the way. So mode 2 is a parent requested interview where the parent or the student just wants to know more information or wants to talk the subject selection through. So we're offering face-to-face, hopefully, meetings in week 10 this term, in late mid-September, and they will be being able to be booked via our parent-teacher interview normal process, and we'll facilitate and support those subject selection. Mode 3 is for students with very complicated choices, have absolutely perhaps no idea what they want to choose, or perhaps want to exit the college and go on to different pathways like TAFE full-time or apprenticeship full-time or work full-time. Mode 3 is for those conversations. So that's the 3 modes in which students will produce a set plan in order to make their choices. The students will choose their subjects with a paper subject selection form, which will look like this. They will get a copy of this when they return to school after the lockdown has finished. And you'll notice that all of the subjects that are available, including the vet certificates and also applied subject, as well as our general subjects, which are open to all students as long as they meet the prerequisites for the general subjects, or that suits the set plan choices for the applied or certificate courses. The students will choose online, which also mirror the paper copy. Please note that the subjects are offered in, I guess, groupings that we call lines. There's line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, the purpose, and I get questioned about this every year, well, why are we offering on lines? Because we have to offer spread the subjects out over choices, and we have to staff those subjects, we have to room those subjects and organise them into classes. So what we do, for example, the subjects that are available on line 1, ancient history, biology and business and film and television, they're the offerings that are available that they compete against one another, but students will choose one subject on that line. Then we construct a timetable. So if you look at the red boxes on this timetable, that's line 1. And what we do is we spread the lines out over the course of the week, and we construct the student timetables from the line choice that they make and that they're making right now. So line 1 is period 3 on Monday, period 2 on Tuesday, and again period 3 on Thursday. And you can see other lines, and we spread them evenly out through the week. And that's how we construct the student's timetable from their line choice to timetable next year. Additional support, this has been emailed to all parents last week, as well as it's available on our website. It's also been emailed to all the students, is the QCE Forecaster. It's an innovative program that the only Chancellor has, to my knowledge. It allows students to make I guess hypothetical choices, and it will show if those particular choices the student has made, will the student be ATAR eligible, and will they be QCE eligible? And that you can run a whole stack of different scenarios on that, and it will give you an informed, I guess, forecast if the student is successful in those choices, whether they would get an ATAR or whether they get a QCE from the subject choices that directly mirror our subjects on our lines here at Chancellor. If you're looking for more information, there are a video for every subject that we offer. There's the subject handbooks, all of the forecaster, there is faculty videos, there's a stack of information. You go to the school college website, go to the curriculum tab, and navigate down to the senior secondary drop down in the curriculum tab, and you'll find a whole stack of information on our school website. That's the generic information I want to get across to both our ATAR QCEE ATAR pathway and our QCEE Future Skills pathway. Now we're going to get into some more detailed information about I beg your pardon, I will just tell you a couple more things. The reason I guess I want to navigate to this slide is that students can achieve the QCE, the Queensland Certificate of Education, via both pathways, via the general pathway or the ATAR pathway, if you will, and also the Future Skills pathway. And I also wanted to let you know about an acronym called VET. VETS is basically vocational education and training, and that's the details we're going to get into now, the different courses that are available. VET subjects can be included in ATAR, and Philippa was speaking about that today. A certificate 3 or higher or one applied subject can be included in ATAR, but we'll talk about that a little bit more further in our presentation. Support resources about VET QTAC, QCAA, QC is all available on the QCAA website, our school website, the QTAC website for more information. But let's now find out a little bit more about what we have to offer. So I'm going to invite Dean Roberts, our Head of Department for Future Skills, and he's going to talk through now with you the difference between applied subject, vocational education and training in schools and so forth. And we'll come back together at the end of the presentation to answer any questions that you might have about the subjects or about the subject choices that are available here at Chancellor. I'll hand over to Dean.
Thank you, David, and welcome everybody. We are socially distancing in here at the moment, so I'll take my mask off. As David said, we have many different options available to our students in Chancellor. And I like to start with this slide, always, with a quote from Albert Einstein. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Traditionally, this is how people thought education has been delivered. Not here at Chancellor. We have many, many, many options available to our students. So we try to defy this slide and that quote, because we believe every student has the ability to be successful, and we make sure that option is available to them. On the left-hand side here, you can see all the applied subjects and all the certificate subjects that we offer, and these are our future pathways. Now, we can either do them standalone, and students can pick an entirely future skills and VET program, or they can actually combine one of these or two of these with the subjects from the general line, and then they can become what's called more of a blended program, where they're doing some general subjects, some applied subjects, and depending on the number of general subjects, they can still be ATAR eligible. When we look at our applied subjects, the underpinning factors are there's literacy skills built into all of them, numeracy skills built into all of them, but it's very much applied learning. So it is a very hands-on practical type of learning where the theoretical components are actually there purely and simply to support the practical work that they're actually doing as well. So it ends up with a very hands-on style of subject. We have here our list of applied subjects here at the school, and as you can see, this range from when we started doing this new QCE, we only had 4 offerings. We now have many, many more offerings, and this is because this is what the students are indicating, and the community is indicating to us these are the sort of subjects they want to be doing, and these are the sort of subjects that our students are excelling in. So that was why we have listened to our surveys, and we've listened to our students, and we've continued to include more and more applied subjects into our offerings. We have our applied subjects, and they all sit on the right-hand side of this form when the students get their form. And again, as David said, they are in lines, and we try to put them in positions on the timetable that allows students to pick as much of a varying range of subjects as possible. Our line structure is set up traditionally on how students tend to pick their subjects. So we have looked through the history of the combinations of subjects that students pick, and that is how we determine where our subjects sit on the timetable. Our VET offerings, we have certificates that we offer here at Chancellor, the top 4 engineering pathways, events, manufacturing, technology and tourism. They actually belong to us as a registered training organisation, so those certificates are delivered purely by us. The bottom certificates there, the 2 business certificates, the early childhood fitness and sport and rec, these are delivered by us here at Chancellor by our teachers, but we are supported by external RTO. So the assessment pieces, our staff do the written initial assessment, and then the external RTO actually double check our assessment to make sure that it is all good for them to sign off and then issue the certificate. And we can see on our subject selection form, that's the subjects there on the bottom right-hand side. Now, these subjects here, so all those subjects are offered here on our campus at Chancellor. Now we move into where our timetable starts to get really exciting. There are a myriad of subjects and certificates offered by other RTOs and offered off campus to us here at Chancellor. So our students, same as a student might do Headstart and go across to the uni and do their subject and then have an ILO in their timetable, we have a number of students heading up, well over 250 at the moment, that actually leave our school one day a week to go and do a certificate off campus at somewhere else. So one of our biggest offerings is TAFE, so is South East Queensland TAFE, and there's a little option there on the right hand side of how you apply. You just jump on TAFE apply and you can apply directly to them, and then it comes back to us and we okay it. And if you're wondering what is actually on offer, as you can see there, if you can think of it, there's probably a certificate in it, and TAFE probably offer it. So there's 3 different campuses, as well as the option to do online as well. So a huge amount of offerings there. If a student does want to do something like this, and they're not quite sure how to apply, they're always welcome to come and see us in, come and see myself or the vet coordinator in D block staff room, and we can help the student apply for these courses. And if they want to find out a bit more information, we also have the TAFE in Schools handbook, and that book there. So the TAFE in Schools handbook, we have plenty of them available at the school as well that students can come and look at, and they can explore, or they can just get online for the TAFE at Schools online and check all the information out there. So as you can see, many different options there. Now, a lot of these external options, they have already opened and they are starting to take applications. If you need, as I said, if you need assistance, come and see us in D block and we can help. And then if you have any paper applications, by all means, bring them to us and we will hand them over, and then we can also keep record of the progress of them being accepted. This is a really exciting certificate that's just been made available to us up here on the Sunshine Coast, being run by Aviation Australia. We currently have 14 students that have started this, and this is operating out of the TAFE facilities up in Nambour. And this is actually a certificate 2 in aviation skills, and it's actually in line maintenance. So we do have another aviation course, and the way this one differs is this one, as you can tell by the picture, directly working on aircraft. And this is working in line maintenance. So when an aircraft lands at the airport, they need to check it to make sure it's ready to go, to get turned around, put new passengers on it and fly away again. And so the Cert 2 in line maintenance, that's what it's about. It's about that line maintenance check on an aircraft in that turnaround time between flights. So again, really exciting offering there. That's only just new, and as I said, we've already had 14 students start that course. The Technical Trade Training Centre, so the Sunshine Coast Technical Trade Training Centre is a mouthful, offer very similar subjects to TAFE, but it's done in a slightly different setting. And this is actually attached to Caloundra State High School down in Caloundra. And you can see there on their application form, a lot of the traditional building subjects, as well as hair and beauty and retail as well. So again, lots of different options. And these have also opened. So every student has been emailed this application form. Again, we hold all these application forms here in D block. Now it says on there to return to the Trade Training Centre, return them to us instead, and we make sure that they all go down in a bundle. And that way we can make sure and keep track of all of them so they don't get accidentally lost in the process. So if they come via us, we make sure they get down there. They did have an open night last week, but due to our timing and the current climate, not many people went. So the Trade Training Centre have just announced today, I spoke to them, they're actually going to come up and do, as soon as we are back open again and out of lockdown, they're going to come and do a personalised information session here at our school during school time for all our students to be involved in that are interested in going there. So that's a great opportunity that they've made available to us. And again, these application forms are available and the applications have started, so fill these in any time. These are some of our other partnerships we have. So this is that Cert 3 in aviation, which is different to the previous one. This is about being a remote pilot, so it's about flying drones. So it's looking at all the laws and regulations and also the skills involved in being able to fly a drone and have a drone license. What most people don't realise is that all these drones flying around are technically being flown illegally because the people flying them don't have a qualification. So if you want to stay clear of the law, then you probably should be involved in doing this course. Again, another really exciting one. Kawana Water State College, we have a partnership with them. They are doing the Cert 2 Health Support Services. This then rolls forward into a Cert 3 in Health Support Services as well. The course has actually made an agreement with USC, and there is a direct entry from these courses, from the Cert 2 and the Cert 3, into nursing at the USC. So that again is a really, really good opportunity if that's a career path you're thinking of taking on. Certificate 2 in Kitchen Operations is over at the Coastal Cookery Trade Training Centre. It's attached to Maroochydore State High School. I really like this course because I get invited out every year when the students graduate to have a lunch, and it's really wonderful to see the sort of results that the students have got, and to be served by your own students a wonderful lunch. Unity College also had a Cert 4 in Crime and Justice. This has been really, really popular, and we have had many students go through this. And this is a combination of some face-to-face learning as well as some online learning as well. So again, another really good opportunity for students to take on. And here is the application form for the drone pilot, so for the aviation drone pilot. Again, students have had all these emailed to them, and we have plenty of copies available in D-Block, or you can just contact me and we can re-email them. There's the Kawana Health application form. As I've said before, all these applications have opened up now, so the sooner we can get them in, the sooner we can start locking in some of these positions. That's the Coastal Cookery, and with all of these courses, the list of units are normally added there as well, and so you can see if that's the sort of course you're interested in taking. And then there's the Unity College for the Cert 4 in Crime and Justice. I have actually just had a student inquire about equine study, so working with horses, and I've been able to also send them information about the International Horse College that does equine studies as well. So we do have a couple of students every year that are interested in that, and that's another option. So at all times, this is only a small selection of what's available. There are many, many, many more options out there for certificates to be done externally to us at school, and we do everything possible to accommodate them within the student's timetable. We then go to our next exciting opportunities for students, is to look at school-based apprenticeships and traineeships, and you'll hear the term, the acronym SAT a lot, and that stands for School-Based Apprenticeship and Traineeship. The Education Department and teachers, we love acronyms, so sorry about that, but that's just another one. These are a combination of training and working in a real job for a real boss with a real wage, and also being able to get yourself a nationally recognised qualification at the same time. So a Cert 3 looks wonderful on your resume. A traineeship is a Cert 3, as well as all the workplace learning that has gone with it. So again, looks even better. It's that next level that employers are looking for, and enable students to gather the skills they want to learn. Apprenticeships versus traineeships. Apprenticeships are your traditional apprenticeships. When we think of an apprentice, we think of an apprentice carpenter, mechanic, a chef, a hairdresser. So all those traditional apprenticeships that we've known over the years, they fall under that apprenticeship bracket, and you can do a school-based one where you do part-time as an apprenticeship while you're still completing your school studies. A traineeship is for all those industries that don't have traditional apprenticeships attached to them, and they generally, you can see there, the apprenticeships are 3 to 4 years. The traineeship is 1 to 2 years done alongside their schooling. And these are in retail, hospitality, sport and recreation, business, and again, many more. We're having many students. I had the exciting news today that a student has just signed a cadetship at a drafting firm to start a traineeship with them. So again, a really good opportunity. So option 1, how do I get a SAT? How do I get an apprenticeship or a traineeship? Option 1, finding your own SAT. If you have a contact, or if you know somebody that you can have a chat to and that might be interested in taking you on, that is probably your best option because you have made the contact. So you can prepare yourself a resume or a cover letter, and it might be a contact you already know, or you might start approaching businesses and start inquiring about opportunities. We often find the reason these are more successful is because the connection has already been made before the apprenticeship or the traineeship has been started, which means there's a vested interest from both the employer and the student in making sure that it's a successful relationship that the two have. So these are often the best ways to start your school-based apprenticeship or traineeship. And again, all you need to have, if you have an employer that is interested, you can come to us and then we can often fill in the blanks for the employer about the benefits for them as an employer, and then also some of the government incentives that may be available to help make their decision and to help train that young person in this apprenticeship or traineeship. So option 2, we sometimes have advertised positions. Now all the Year 10 students are working regularly at the moment on our careers website, so it's chancellor.sccareers.com. So ask your students about that, they'll be able to direct you straight to it. They're using it extensively for their My Journey and their FSK certificate. That website has many advertised vacancies. We have a lot of companies and a lot of industries that come directly for us looking for students and looking for people to fill their positions. And so we put them straight onto that website and students can go on there anytime. And it'd be something that I would be checking at least weekly, if not more, because we are regularly modifying that advertised list of the advertised positions available for students to take on. And when they find one that they're interested in, they can fill out the necessary application and they can apply for that position, and then we'll help them down the track if they need any more assistance with that. If they're successful with any of these, obviously they need to be able to, they'll have a meeting with the deputy principal and or myself, and then we can make sure a training contract is written up, and then the students are registered with the government as an official apprentice or an official trainee, and they can then start their training agreement. All school-based apprenticeships or traineeships contribute to their QCE, and depending on the certificate that it's associated with it, can also contribute to their ATAR as well. So these are a really, really, really good opportunity for students moving forward if this is an area that they wish to work in. And attached to this is paid employment. So again, a really good opportunity for them. Some of our past apprenticeships or trainees, I'll just quickly go through them. So Ben started his Cert 3 in plumbing as a school-based apprenticeship. He's now fully qualified, happily working in the industry. Sean was a golfer, loved his golf, but wanted to be able to do more of it. So he actually got himself a Cert 2 in horticulture traineeship, which enabled him to not only mow the grass, but then play on the grass at the end of his shift pretty much every time he was there. So he was pretty excited to work that one out. Daryl got a Cert 2 in dental assistant, and I do believe she's then moved into that industry after school and her qualification as well. James started, this was his work experience photo. He went up in to do aerial photography on work experience, then turned it into a traineeship, then got himself qualified as a pilot, and he now flies regularly holiday makers over to Fraser Island. So again, another great story. Blake did a traineeship, a Cert 3 in business, was a huge skateboarder, wanted to be able to do something associated with skateboarding, and so did a Cert 3 in business while working at the board store. I think that's over in Alex. Ashley did a Cert 3 in business at Bartercard, and Imogen did a Cert 3 in hospitality over at Sea Life, and I believe has then worked for a few more years after that, part-time as well. So she managed to secure a part-time job out of that as well. Bailey did his Cert 3 in hospitality. Now I recently caught up with Bailey. He's just finished a stint at Frankie's in Mooloolaba as their head chef. So at 21, he was operating as the head chef at Frankie's Mooloolaba. So again, a huge success story that started from a school-based apprenticeship. Ben has now, I think he's in his 4th year of cabinet making, and I dare say he'll probably stay employed with that business once he's finished. So some really good stories come out of that. Nathan Fazakali did his Cert 3 in track riding, and this is actually the photo taken of his first real track race. So he would only been doing track training up until this time. In his first track race as a rookie, actually won that race, so that was pretty exciting. everyone that was involved with Nathan getting to where he wanted to get to. So as you can see, with the school-based apprenticeships and traineeships, most of the time they lead to future work, as well as brilliant employment opportunities and brilliant learning opportunities moving forward. Just as we dispelled some of the myths with ATAR, there's plenty of myths associated with VET as well. And one of the myths, and you can see there, this is actually a study that's been put out by Skilling Australia Foundation. They did a research study about 18 months ago, and some of the myths that came up and then some of the myths that they dispelled were that VET graduates earn low wages. Well, they actually proved the average VET graduate salary is $2,000 more than the average bachelor degree graduate. So that's a pretty outstanding statistic that they proved through their research. VET 2, the VET graduates struggle to find work. 78% plus of VET graduates are employed after training versus 69% of bachelor degree graduates. Again, astounding statistics that they managed to find from their study. And that is a thing of the past. 9 of the 10 occupations predicted to have the greatest growth in the next 5 years will be in the VET sector. So these are statistics that prove that a VET opportunity and a VET pathway is as vital, and as far as we're concerned here at Chancellor, is held in as just as high esteem as an ATAR and a tertiary pathway. So that's why when we go back to that initial slide, is that we believe here at Chancellor, we offer an option for every student within our cohort to make sure that they have success moving forward. If you're looking for further information here, these are some of the websites, and again, these will be available on this PowerPoint. This PowerPoint will be on our website, or you could just contact us. And as I said, all the students in Year 10 know our Chancellor SC Careers webpage, and that has all the links to all the external VET options as well. Now I have, looking for more information, again, there's our website. And as I said, the students are working exclusively and extensively in this area at school. So they really do have options to find all the information for you. Now I have rushed through that tonight because I do understand it's a very busy night and a very trying time for all of us. I have options there for anyone to ask questions, and we will answer as many as we can. All our emails are available through the school, and if you have any specific VET or school-based apprenticeship and traineeship questions, you can always direct them to either call me at the school or direct an email to me, and I will respond as soon as I possibly can. So do we have any questions? There was a question earlier from right at the very start from Mel. Can a student do a Cert 3 in business along with the diploma in business? That's actually quite a complicated answer, and that is very complicated. The diploma actually trumps the Cert 3, so it's a higher qualification. So we would tend to have students doing one or the other. Having said that, if a student is doing a Cert 3 business traineeship and they wish to finish the traineeship because of the work placements that are involved with it, and then enroll at the diploma at our school here, yes, you can do that as an option, but as I said, it's quite a complicated answer, and a lot of the times we need to look at the whole picture to give a really clear answer. A blanket rule would be you probably don't tend to do them side by side, definitely not here at Chancellor, but if one was being done as a traineeship or had already been completed, then doing the diploma would be the natural step moving forward from that. Okay. Did you want to answer that next question, Philip? Are you typing an answer? So the question around multiple ILOs, if I'm doing a traineeship and a Head Start, it's normally one. It's normally one ILO. Having said that, if a traineeship and a Head Start's being done concurrently, again, quite complicated, and we would deal with that on a one-on-one basis, and we would look at all the factors that are involved in that situation. Are there any questions? People can put their hands up and ask. Oh, now I've got Willia has put her hand up. How do I do that? Okay, so Willie or Moore, if you want to then ask your question with your microphone, you can make your microphone active. Okay. I've got, so I'll answer Willie's first because she had her hand up. When is the student subject selection due? So the student subject selection has opened. It is currently now open. If a student knows exactly what they want to do and the teacher is on board and the parents are on board, so that is open. They are due by the end of week 9, start of week 10. So they are due at the start of week 10, so that's the 13th of September. Any that we still haven't got by then we will start contacting and booking interviews. So as we said earlier in the presentation, there are 3 different modes. Mode 1 is students know really what they want to do. They can fill the form out and they can get it active right now. Mode 2 is we are offering in week 10 some face-to-face interviews. And then mode 3 are for students and parents that really aren't quite sure what they want to do, or it is quite complicated, and so we'll have mode 3 for them. Okay, so we'll go back and Linda. Okay, Nicole and Brendan, can you do Headstart and a school-based apprenticeship at the same time? Yes, you can. It would be a very, very big workload on a student who does that, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. So yes, that is an option to do. And that would be one that we would discuss with both the guidance officers, the DP and the head of senior school, and we would make sure that we looked at a timetable to make sure that's a possibility. Mel's got a question here. I'll just go down through the questions. Mel, can you obtain a QCE if doing distance education? Yes, you can. Distance education is normally for subjects that we're not offering here, so or subjects that are clashing here. So they still have QCE points attached to them. So yes, you can still get your QCE by using a distance education subject. And law, if my child wants a certificate in equine studies, can they go to you at a lunchtime at school and discuss with you about the certificate they want to do? Absolutely yes. Please come and see me when we're out of lockdown at any stage, and I can give you that information. Or vice versa, if we are, because we're currently in lockdown, if you shoot me an email, I can then respond with an email of where you can start looking and where you can investigate the courses, and you can see if that's exactly the course you want to do. So there's a couple of different ways you can do that. And Belinda has got, how and when do we book an interview? Interviews will be open by about week 6, I think. August. So August 23rd. So we'll start at week 7. That is when the interview options will open up. You can also, your student can let your form teacher or their FSK teacher know that they would like an interview, and then we can also tick that option for them, and then we know that we're lining up for an interview for that student. But they're opening up on the 23rd, and we will let everyone know well and truly in advance. If you do a diploma in business, does this give you a free ticket into USC? I'd be hesitant to say yes. It does favour them greatly, in that USC do recognise that diploma highly, but it is not a free ticket into USC. That is something we need to negotiate with USC. Having said that, it is regarded quite highly and would definitely work in the students' favour. Again, if this is an option and something you want to discuss, we would look at every individual case as to what would be option moving forward if USC is what you're looking for. Annette, how do you meet the requirements for English and maths, other core subjects in order to achieve your QCE if you are doing an apprenticeship, traineeship and leaving the school, say in year 11, to continue this apprenticeship, traineeship? There's a few ways that the QCE can be met. Your English and maths Once you have completed a unit, you have your English and Maths and Literacy and Numeracy tick for your QCE. If students wish to leave at the end of year 11, then we need to look at the impact that leaving will have on their QCE and whether QCE can be achieved at the point they leave or whether it may be achieved in the future, because you do bank your QCE for up to 5 years post year 12, post leaving school. So again, quite a complicated answer, and that's something we would have a direct conversation about. Okay, if there are no further questions at the moment, I'll pass back over to David and Philippa, the two DPs. Thank you for logging on and wanting to find more information out. We are always available here at the school, and as I said, if you have a specific vet or apprenticeship or traineeship question, you can always email me and I will contact you back. And because, as I said, as you can see, some of the responses can be quite complicated, and we need to look at each individual case to make sure we're giving out the correct information. So thank you again for attending tonight's presentation.
Hi everyone, we've run through a stack of information this evening, so I just want to reiterate that the subject selection is live online on one school at the moment, so that students can actually make their choices straight away. When they return, we will facilitate, support the students via the FSK subject that is on their timetable on Tuesdays. If lockdown does go further, of course, we will do some further online support for students so they'll be fully supported in their subject choices. So on behalf of myself as a Deputy Principal who works with Philippa on Year 10, and I currently work with the Year 11s, thank you for coming along this evening, and I hope you've got all the information from the vet area of the college.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us again tonight. As we tried to communicate tonight, we do try to personalise each and every student's pathway so that they can choose what they want to do and have success. So please encourage your student to talk to us. And as you can see from the questions, every single scenario is quite different and every answer is quite different for each student. So we run through and calculate the student's QCE, talk about the different pathways, if it is tertiary or whether it's the workforce or whether it's further vocational training that your child wants to pursue. We look at supporting them there. So it really is the best option. Every student can get their personalised pathway. We talk with them, and again, please do contact us if we can help you further. Thank you. Please stay safe, and thanks for joining us tonight.